Well, well, well. By golly, by gummy bears. Hello again. I was just took a nap. Getting ready for the fireworks later, probably. If my neighbors are anything like they were yesterday, they'll start blowing shit up here in a moment or two. It's about 6:30. And God almighty, it's hot in Missouri. Oh, good Lord. Heaven and heaven. Jeff Holiday. Remember Jeff Holiday? It's been a couple minutes. Yeah, I used to watch him all the time, pretty often. He's kind of a lefty, but he was interesting. His wife, Memory Holiday, interesting couple. I think they're in Portland, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere in might not be Portland where Scotty, the long-haired, greasy hippie, lives, but I think it's Eugene, maybe. But haven't heard from them for a while. Also, by the way, if you're interested in World War II machinery and early, certainly Korea and early Vietnam, Hickok 45 has a video on the M14, the next generation of the Garand. What Garand? Well, he was a Canadian, and that's how he said his name. We all call it the Garand, but it's Garand. Okay. So Jeff has some commentary here on, Smortion. So let's go.
Hello, everyone. My name is
Hi.
Jeff Holiday.
Hello.
And we have to have a very uncomfortable conversation.
I have a microphone just like that, Jeff. Good mic. It's a Shure SM, what is it, SM57? Yeah.
Recently, the Supreme Court has chosen to overthrow Roe versus Wade.
Yes, sir.
This means that we have lost the constitutionally protected right to an abortion.
At least Jeff is closer than most constitutionally protected. It's not a right, though. It's not in the Constitution, Jeff. You know that. Come on, you're a smart guy. Yeah. So he's half right. Okay.
And that some states in the United States of America have now illegalized the procedure in which
illegalized? Is that really a word, Jeff? It might be. Hey, I don't have my thesaurus here handy, but maybe
to terminate a pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And in this video, we're going to examine the arguments of people who are in favor of this.
Is that loud enough?
We're going to look at who they are. And then at the end, I'm going to give you some resources should you find yourself in need regarding this issue.
Okay, Jeff. Good. All right. He has his point of view. I have no problem with that. Everybody has the right to their own opinion. It's a democracy, isn't it? So in Oregon, or Oregon, however you pronounce that other state, the one between California and Washington, that nobody can seem to pronounce correctly. Yeah, you have your say. I'm sure your state will do what it thinks it should do according to the will of the people. I know it's a hard concept that people should be able to vote on this topic. I know. Especially the 25-30% of women in this country, maybe in your state, who are not pro-abortion. Just saying. Now, let's not go down the rabbit hole here, Jeff, where you believe women shouldn't have a say, shouldn't have the right to vote on something so personal to them. Because we all know, Jeffrey, if the Republican Nazis said something like, well, you know what, the liberal pro-aborts shouldn't have a right to vote on this topic. I wonder what would happen then. I wonder what the outcry would be. Yeah, cities had burned down again. Yeah.
And I'm fully aware that this is going to alienate some of my audience who may agree with this recent change in our laws.
Is your audience so weak, Jeff, that they can't handle you having a different opinion than them? It's kind of sad, isn't it? If you believe that about your audience, that if you come out as pro-abortion or pro-life or whatever, that they're just going to abandon you. Binary. Agree with me or I'm leaving. It's kind of silly, isn't it? Now, it could be that Jeff is pro-life. I don't know. I haven't watched the whole video. But either way, why would your audience abandon you because you have a different opinion than them? That's pretty weak sauce, right? I think.
All I can ask is that you listen to my arguments and you find the bravery to consider changing your mind.
I'm not going to change my mind. I'm not going to become pro-abort, except I think I find myself, after thinking carefully about this for years, actually, and you hear these stories about this 10-year-old girl in Ohio, and you hear about victims of criminal activity that have to make a hard decision about what they're going to do. I'm thinking there ought to be exceptions for certain things, like criminal activity, stuff like that.
Abortion is a very touchy subject, one that I would argue most people on this planet find very uncomfortable to discuss.
All right, Jeff.
Life is a precious thing, and in some perfect world, we could imagine it never being necessary, but we do not live in that world.
Nope. And we never will. It'd be nice to be in utopia. We're just not going to get there. What are you going to do?
Instead, we live in a world where abortions can be a medical necessity. Ectopic pregnancies happen as often as 1 in 100 pregnancies.
And he's exactly right. But I believe most states, even Mississippi or some of these other places that really, really hate, the Christian Nazis, there are exceptions for the health of the mother. And if there's not, there should be. Go on.
Ectopic pregnancy is when the fetus begins to develop outside of the uterus, often one of the fallopian tubes. And in every single case that this happens, the fetus is non-viable.
And I think few people would have an argument. Yeah, you can carry that baby to term, but it's going to come out dead. It's not going to work. It's outside the uterus. Ain't going to work. Get it? Puts my life in danger as a female. So, no, get back in the kitchen. Who says that? And if people do say that, we need to fight back against them and say, you are full of bullshit. See? Corner cases, Jeff. 1 in 100, 1%. That's quite a few. So then I think we should make that legal. Health of the mother. Criminal activity. Yes.
It will not live. And often this is fatal to the mother as well.
So that would be the health of the mother, Jeff. Child's already gone. That's not going to happen. But what evil son of a bitch would expect the woman to carry basically a dead baby to term and maybe die herself? What sense does that make? It's ridiculous.
Effectively, this means that the restrictions being placed on abortion in some states would condemn 1 in 100 people with pregnancies to a miserable, suffering death.
Here's the thing, Jeff. And I like you. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate your opinion. I have not heard of one state, not one, that says that. I believe even Texas, the worst of the worst, the evil Texas Nazi Party, has an exception for the health of the mother. Now, they might not talk about the criminal activity and other stuff, but they certainly have something for the health of the woman, as they should. And if I'm wrong about Texas, well, then the people of Texas need to vote something like that in. That's the beauty. It's the wonderfulness of this country. We have a say. We can vote. And if the law sucks and you don't like it, you think it should be a different way, then vote the people in that will put laws in place that you think are best. And if you can get 50.1% of your state to agree with you, thus shall be the law. See? It's not a one-size-fits-all government enforcing this shit upon the states. It's the people. Me and you. We get to decide what's best in our state, for the women of our state. And the women actually get a vote too. I know it's strange. In Louisiana, women actually can vote. I know. I know it's hard for some people to believe that maybe the women in Mississippi wanted the law that they have there now. I know. Crazy. Go on.
We live in a world where sexual assault happens, where the predation of children happens.
Thus, the 10-year-old child who was raped in Ohio. And for some goddamn reason, the state of Ohio didn't figure she'd be able to get an abortion. If that's not the health of the child, in this case, I don't know what the hell is. What are these people thinking? 10-year-old kid probably can't carry a baby to full term without dying. So I don't know what the hell Ohio is thinking. I think people in Ohio, I hope you see a better way.
Recently, there was a 10-year-old girl,
Yep.
a child, was raped and got pregnant. But because she lived in Ohio,
Yep.
she had to go to Indiana to have the procedure performed.
And I think that's kind of fucked up. I do. I mean, what more do you have to know? She's a 10-year-old kid. A 10-year-old, literally almost a baby. Like what are 10-year-old kids? Like 4 feet tall? Carrying a pregnancy to term? It seems unlikely. So whatever Ohio was thinking, I happen to believe they're wrong. But here's the thing, Jeff. The people of Ohio or Oregon or Texas, Louisiana, we will hash this out. In some states, it might be illegal for all reasons. In other states, it'll be very liberal. That's America. It's federalism. Individual states can decide certain things. Exactly. Excuse me, Jeff. Let me throw this out. I used to live in Colorado, where marijuana is legal. It's not in the Constitution, is it? See? Federalism. I'm guessing that sort of federalism would be okay. Right? States decide what they want to do. All right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We live in a world where a shrinking middle class, rising inflation, and housing costs mean more children born to poverty and suffering. And regardless of the overwhelming impact, sex education, access to contraceptives, and even just economic recovery could vastly decrease the amount of unwanted pregnancies and thus decrease abortions.
Vastly decrease. Okay, I got you. Sorry, Jeff. I didn't. I wasn't quite following. I got you.
And the same people that want to illegalize the right to abortion are the people who are aggressively fighting all of those things as well. But why? What are the reasons to fight against the right to an abortion? Well,
all right.
Let's start first with the moral argument.
Okay.
Killing a human being is wrong.
Generally, yes.
The overwhelming majority of abortions happen before 13 weeks.
Okay. That's a fair point. Yep. Okay.
Before a fetus has a fully functioning brain.
So it's the brain that's the difference. Okay. No, I'm just trying to get your argument here, Jeff. Not throwing stones yet. I have a feeling I might be.
It has no conception of self or of sentience.
How do you know that? How does anyone know that, Jeff?
At most, it has the mental complexity of an invertebrate.
If we found one on Mars, would it be a form of life? Just asking.
And it will take twice as long as that for it to become a viable fetus where it could survive outside of the womb, albeit with lots and lots of medical intervention.
Excuse me. I've heard this argument too, Jeff. And I'm throwing a couple of stones at you, but a child, even when born, the regular 9 months and all that child cannot survive by itself outside the womb. It's not like a horse doesn't jump out and start running around. Humans take an enormously long amount of time to actually become self-sufficient. So saying a fetus or a baby or whatever, zygote, alien creature isn't viable, what does that mean? You take a fresh baby. Woman has a baby. Leave that baby in a crib and don't do anything to it. It's going to die. Okay?
And to show any signs whatsoever of cognition. Now, you can argue that it's still a human, and I'm not going to try and change your mind. But if a mother chooses to terminate her pregnancy at this point, it's rather obvious to me that the resulting child wouldn't have the best life or be very well provided for.
Mm-hmm. Economic, yes. Okay. All right.
And you'll see these performative signs of "we will adopt your baby," but anybody who says that doesn't understand the foster care system.
You're right.
Does not understand that it is filled to the brim with unwanted children that suffer constantly. It is overstressed. Now,
Yeah, I've heard the other side of that, though, is there are millions of couples wanting to adopt children. I don't know this one. This is not my area that I look into all that often. So I'll take your word for it, Jeff.
this is, in fact, a thing that we as a society could choose to improve with funding, but we don't.
Why don't we do that? Interesting question. Why is that?
So those signs mean nothing. Those statements mean nothing.
Okay.
My religion opposes it. Arguing
Okay.
against somebody's religion is rarely fruitful. However, it can and should be pointed out that somebody's faith should have no bearing on the behavior of others.
Okay. Right.
That's
Right.
for you and you alone, not
Really?
to impose on other people. And in fact,
Are you an anarchist, by the way, Jeff? You know, it's kind of like society has these sort of gentleman or gentlewoman's agreement. This is the kind of way we're going to run things. Kind of affects us all, religious or not. Right?
the absolute spirit of the First Amendment of this country is to
Yes.
delineate that there shall not be a crossover between government and faith.
That's exactly incorrect. Jeff, you're smarter than this. It says the government shall not impose a national religion. There shall be no religious tests for higher office, etc., and so on. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say there shall be a separation of church and state. That was Thomas Jefferson in one of his letters to someone. But I get the spirit. I understand what you're saying. Government shouldn't impose upon you a particular religion, which is, by the way, in the First Amendment. So I think we're covered. Gotcha.
And thus trying to make any kind of legislation or law based upon some religious text is antithetical to the very first fundamental principle, the pillar of what America stands for.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want religious freaks telling me what I can and cannot do. But the Supreme Court decision really didn't talk about religion. It didn't even talk about morality. Didn't even say anything like that. It even didn't talk about babies getting slaughtered or whatever. It simply said this right was founded on bullshit. Pretty straightforward. I know it took like 200 pages for them to describe that, but that's essentially what they said. Go on.
But even more so, you would be surprised to find that most mainstream religions are not opposed to abortion.
Really? Does Catholicism, is that a mainstream religion or is that a fringe group? Okay.
For instance, Judaism has an actual dictate that if the
quickening.
pregnancy
Yes.
to
We
the
get
mother,
it. We get it.
it needs to be aborted.
Yeah.
Islam has provisions as well. And even in the Old Testament of the Christian Bible, there's a ritual for how to perform an abortion.
So you're shitting on Christianity is what you're doing, Jeff. Come on now. You're better than this. There's probably a whole lot of provisions in the Jewish Bible, the Old Testament, in the Quran, into this and into that. I'm sure there's a bunch more that you're not telling us. Like, because of this and thus and such, abortion is okay, or before the quickening. Find it interesting, though, that you don't mention Christianity as a mainstream religion except pejoratively. Interesting.
Yeah. So when someone says that their religion disallows abortion, they're usually speaking about their very, very specific branch of faith, not the actual tenets of their religion.
You mean like Roman Catholicism, which is one of the top three, probably. Not a mainstream religion, though. It's a fringe group. Gotcha.
This is about state rights.
It is. Yes.
No, it is not. And
Yes,
that
it
argument is always used as a smokescreen to cover up the real reason why they oppose it.
Okay, Jeff, dear Jeff, my old friend here. What does the 10th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States say? It says the power is not specifically or expressly given to the federal government, are reserved to the states or to the people. In other words, if there's not an amendment specifically in the Constitution, it's up to the states. And that's what Dodd did, or Dobson, or whatever the fuck the recent decision was. It's in the Constitution, Jeff. You can read it. It's not in Old English. It's not in medieval French. It is in modern English. You can read the 10th Amendment. It's right there. Now, there was a states' right argument for slavery, that unholy, crazy shit that this country did for hundreds of years. We fought a civil war over that. There were some states in the South that said it's not in the Constitution, and so we can have it. And what did the United States do? Pass the 13th Amendment. Get it? Okay.
I'll explain.
Yes.
Largely, this is a libertarian talking point.
Okay.
It's erroneously claiming that it's going to increase choice, but this increases choice for the state and it shreds it for the individual.
Really? When you say the state, you mean the people who can vote on it in their own state? Oddly, Jeff, and I'm not saying you're, pro-abort. I don't know yet. We'll get there in a few minutes. I'm getting a feeling that you probably are. That's fine. That's no problem. People can have different opinions. But what the decision does is give the power to regulate this to the voters in each state to do what they feel is best for the people of their state. I'm not seeing this as a problem. I think devolving federal power is a good thing. But then again, that's my opinion. Go ahead.
Before the overturning of Roe, the government was removed from the equation. Yet many of these people
Excuse me. No. The state government was. Yes.
making this argument are small government types who now fully rejoice at the immense control those states now employ.
Mm-hmm. Well, the states have power over their state, Jeff. I would say that's a devolution of power from the federal government. With a one-size-fits-all, you shall do this, thus and such, because it's in the 14th Amendment. Supreme Court said, no, it's not. Now, each state, such as mine, Missouri, yours, Oregon, Idaho, Texas, the Dakotas, the people in these states will decide how best to deal with this. I think that's a win. I really do.
Against an individual. On the most basic, fundamental, utilitarian level,
Okay.
the argument should be that we embrace someone's right to choose
Except if they're a man. Right?
whether to have a pregnancy or not. And then we advocate for facilitating resources and assistance for either which one of those choices that they want to make.
So I should have to pay for somebody's decision in life. Okay, Jeff?
But even more so, embracing this idea that this comes down to a states' rights issue is embracing tyranny.
No. No, that would be the actual opposite of tyranny, Jeff. I know you're a smart guy. I don't want to rip you too much here, but you do know how this system works in the United States, right? Of course you do. Anything specifically not given as a power to the federal government, it is to the states or the people. It's not that hard. There's a reason why they fought over the 9th and 10th Amendments, Jeff. They didn't want a big, massive, centralized, bureaucratic nightmare like we have today in the federal government. Go on.
Yep, I said it. This is tyranny.
No, it's
The
not.
overwhelming majority of Americans support abortion rights.
So if then, Jeff, Mr. Holiday, if the overwhelming majority of people in the United States support abortion, then what are you worried about? Honestly. People just voted in their states. Done. Over. Problem solved. Oh, but what about Louisiana or what about Mississippi? Well, maybe the majority of those people don't live in those states. They'll have their own statutes. Why is it, Jeff? Why is this such a big problem? I'm curious.
Hands down. That includes people from both sides of the political divide as well. And most people that very loudly oppose it are people who are never really going to need to use abortions.
You're saying men. Again, dismissing all of the women who don't agree with the pro-aborts. Are you a misogynist, Jeff? You don't want women's voices to be heard? Only the ones that happen to agree with the pro-aborts. Let's be honest, that's what you just said. Isn't it?
That is, unless their teenage daughters make a mistake and they got to sneak them off through the back door, which that does happen. And meanwhile, you have policies like the Texas Heartbeat Bill that allows for private citizens to act as bounty hunters to report abortion providers and anybody giving assistance to somebody if they're trying to get an abortion.
Okay, I agree. That's a little weird, but it was part of the effort to overturn Roe. They tried to make it as constitutional as possible. So I suspect Governor Abbott and the people of Texas will come to some conclusion somewhere in the middle. But it's up to them, up to the people of Texas, or the people of Oregon, or the people of Washington. This is frightening to me, Jeff. I hope you have a big turnaround at the end here, because this is kind of concerning.
Now, this is their way of circumventing Roe versus Wade.
Challenging Roe versus Wade.
Prior to it being overthrown. Now, they don't even have to try and be very subtle about it.
That's right.
Now, what's fascinating about this is them going around the government to utilize citizen reporting is something that Texas did also right after the Reconstruction.
Here we go. Here we go. Oh God, Jeff, I hope you're playing devil's advocate for the other side, because here we go into racism. Okay. All right.
Times to try and curtail Black people from voting.
Jeff, come on.
I guess they're just going with the classics now. So let me ask you this question.
Okay.
If 6 people on a court reducing the rights of half the population of the country to individual states, embracing policies that most Americans don't want, and then deputizing citizens to report and harass each other is not the definition of a cruel and oppressive government, then what is?
Jeff, Texas passed their, frankly, bullshit law to get it before the Supreme Court. Same with South Dakota. It's interesting. The case that actually did Roe in was Mississippi, who wanted to make it legal up till 15 weeks. None of these other weird laws got before the Supreme Court. I'm sure you know that because you're a smart man. Now, people of Texas, now that they have the right to decide this, can petition their government, and the majority of people, 50.1%, can vote on the laws they think is right for the people of Texas. I'm sure that mechanism is already being activated in Texas and in other states. A lot of these laws, bills, whatever, proposals went over the edge to get it in front of the Supreme Court. Come on now, Jeff. Come on.
It isn't Christians that are doing this, because most Christians disagree with this decision. Really?
Well, then I guess the way it'll work then is the Christians in these states, or, Islamic folks or Jewish people, whatever, they'll craft legislation to best fit their own state under the 10th Amendment.
It isn't most average everyday citizens, because, again, most people in this country disagree with this decision.
Actually, that's not true, Jeff. I just saw some Rasmussen polls, some other polls. It's not true. Or where we were before the decision was made, roughly. Hasn't changed the needle at all, Jeff. Zero zip nada. Not a hair on fire situation. The only people who really give a flying fuck, in my humble opinion, if I might share, are the wings. The rest of us in the middle, we don't care that much that we're going to burn the house down. It's not happening.
This is a small but powerful and financially bloated conservative minority that has enjoyed a majority in one branch of government for over 40 years.
Really? Excuse me. There's a Democrat slight majority in the Senate. There's a Democrat fairly big majority in the House. There's a Democrat president. Where is this the Vast majority of evil Christians running the government. I would like to know who these people are.
Arbitrarily shredding the rights of half the country.
Mm-hmm.
And they lie to you and they prey on your emotions
Mm.
so that you'll stay silent on it.
Uh-huh.
They'll make wild claims that up-to-birth abortions are common. When
they're not common, but they are legal in California. And probably some other states, including your own, Jeff. Not saying it happens every day, but I mean, even the most pro-abortion people, I suspect they might have a problem with full-term abortion. Just saying. Just, I don't know, maybe I'm completely wrong. It's happened before. So, Jeff, the statistics you cite, sir, are for early abortion, 70% or something, under 12 weeks. Now, you don't ever want to say that because that would undermine your argument. Almost no one wants abortion after, say, 24 weeks, something. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling very like a stat cell today. But the point is, if you get the job done early, most people do support that. But not when you get up to 30 weeks or 24 weeks. I don't care how rare it is. I'm sorry, go on.
When in reality, third trimester abortions are exceedingly rare. And
you know what's also rare, Jeff? Abortions due to grape. Just saying. Less than 1% of abortions are for the life of the mother in grape. There you go.
Only ever done for medical reasons.
Okay, well then there's not a problem with that then. Because all 50 states will have a medical exemption. Right?
They'll go on Facebook and Twitter and flood your feed with grotesque images of barbaric surgical procedures.
All right.
When the majority of pregnancies are now ended by simply swallowing a pill.
So, swallowing a pill. You mean early on, right, Jeff? So, sir, would you be happy with, say, a 12-week limit? After all, the pills don't work. What is it, 6 weeks? I don't remember what the number is, but you got to do it early. So would you be happy with that, Jeff? Say 12 weeks. It's legal. Sure. I'd agree to that. And exceptions for grape, incest, mother, health, all that stuff. Yeah. Are you happy with that? Of course not.
This is not designed so that you will agree with them. Because you probably don't. It's entirely so that you will stay silent as they eviscerate our freedoms.
Excuse me. If you want me to speak up about abortion, Jeff, wouldn't one of the more interesting ways of doing that is to give me a chance to vote on it? Yet you don't like that. Why, Jeff? Why? Why is that?
And this is just the beginning. The same people that warned that this could happen are now warning that they're going to be coming after marriage equality next. And because we live in a tyranny and under the rule of those who won't act to curtail it, it might happen. But let me pose this simple argument to you.
Are we going down the slippery slope argument? Okay, I was waiting for it.
Abortion rights are human rights.
Except.
And the choice to undergo a life-changing and physically demanding pregnancy or not should be maintained. And
all right.
Now we now live in a country where over half the population has lost that freedom means that they are not free. And if
not only that, the other half of the population never had that freedom, Jeff. Are we going to address that? Male reproductive rights, none. Zero. Zip nada. Of course, you don't really give a shit about that, do you? Do you, Jeff?
If just one of us is not free, none of us are free.
I'm sorry, Jeff, again, I mean, I hate to, I really hate to beat on the dead horse here. Excuse me. Somebody was yelling at me for coughing the other day. I've got a frog. Hold on. Hi, good mother. So, Jeff, what is restrictive to you? What is the tyranny allowing people to vote in their own state on the subject of abortion? What is the tyranny? That sounds like more freedom. You do realize, Jeff, since 1973, people in the United States haven't been able to vote on this topic. What's wrong with more freedom? Jeff, just curious. Do you see hair on fire people in the United States and other states? Say, I don't know, South Carolina. You see them marching in the streets, Jeff, because in your state of Oregon, you have fucking hard drugs that are legal now. No?
We should not be ruled by an oppressive minority.
Mm-hmm. An oppressive minority. I thought, Jeff, y'all were about democracy. Not at the federal level. That's a representative republic, but democracy. You like that, right? You may have, and I'm not sure, but I'm going to assume just taking a shot that you probably thought Trump stole the election over Hillary Clinton. He didn't get the majority of votes, yet he won the Electoral College. Democracy, democracy, democracy. Now suddenly you don't like that. Well, that's interesting.
Who do not share our values, especially when the freedom is one of personal choice.
And the women who want to have that personal choice in Missouri or whatever state, they can rally the politicians and tell them, if you don't make this legal, we're going to vote your ass out. Kind of the way it works. Yes? No.
Nobody should have the right to tell you what you can and can't do with your body.
Really? Except when it comes to the jab. Right, Jeff? Right?
Period.
Except for that.
And finally, I want to give you some resources if you find yourself in need of an abortion.
Okay.
For whatever reason. Both Aid Access and Plan C have resources for obtaining abortion medication. And if you live in a state with an abortion ban, I would highly recommend using a VPN or going to the library. And also...
because the goddamn Nazis are going to find you if you look up abortion on Google, right? Come on now, Jeff. Come on. Let's not get carried away, sir.
Prepaid credit card and a P.O. box if you have to order anything. As well, websites like Abortion Funds can point you towards charities that will help you with assistance in getting to a state where your rights are protected and you can receive treatment. Lastly, Shout Your Abortion has resources for everything we just talked about, as well as trans-specific health concerns.
Yeah, I'm afraid, Jeff, you done drunk the Kool-Aid. You're all in, aren't you? Okay.
And I realize this video is not my usual content, and I'm aware that I might lose many subscribers for this. And
not really, no. I mean, are we fucking adults? Can we handle someone who has a different opinion, Jeff? Maybe in your world, maybe in your world, I'm like, okay, he has his opinion. I disagree with it, but, I'm not going to damn him to hell or anything. I know. It's the conservative Nazis. I like that. Who you believe want to put you in a gulag and kill you or something. Projection? Just wondering.
I don't care.
Okay.
I have been blessed with some degree of success on YouTube, but I
I guess so, yeah.
have also given up long ago trying to play the system, maximize the algorithm, or increase my social standing and boost my profits. I don't care.
Okay. Good. Nobody cares that you have a different opinion either, Jeffrey. It's not a big deal. Nobody's going to run and start their house on fire because you don't agree with them. However, the opposite way, we might have a different problem, right? Yeah. All right. I have to go find a beer. Let's go here.
Hyundai Sonata versus Honda
buy a
Accord.
Hyundai. So I wasn't wrong.
Hyundai Sonata wins every time.
I really wish I was.
Just was not the general issue firearm for very long, at least, that the M1 Garand was. This was just the improved Garand, basically the M1. Some people wouldn't even think it was an improvement, maybe, but the M14 was kind of an M1 Garand with, full auto capability, big old detachable box magazine, 20 rounds at least, and tweaked gas system, and just a very nice rifle. It catches a lot of hate because it is an old design.
I swear.
But
excuse me. I swear. Quit smoking, hamster. Everything will be great. Now I got like these frogs in my throat. It's terrible. So what'd you guys think of that? Was I off in left field? I don't think so. Davina's here. Hello. Chris Mitchell. Oh, you got a 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock? Oh, yeah. You're Pacific time. Okay. We'll go over there. What you drinking, hamster? Just beer. I'm just, yeah. Renovatio. What does Renovatio say? Used to be sub to Jeff, then became, yep. Yeah, my body, my choice, except in that one case. Good Mother is here. Hello, Good Mother, who did a 17-hour stream this morning. It's amazing. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. Evil Hermit is here. Hello. Hello. Ian Blades, there was one comment way back. Let me see if I can find it that I wanted to comment on. And I didn't have a chance during my rant. Zurinx. Is that the one? Maybe it wasn't that one. Well, thank you for stopping by. Ayrton 146, hello. Thank you. There was a hello hamster. Great convo going on in the community. One of the okay. I'll have to go look at your channel. Thank you, though. It was fun talking with you last night. That was good. It's always fun talking to you. You're so calm. I don't know how you do it, to be honest with you. All right. Chris Mitchell. Where the hell should we raid? Hell yeah, we're gonna raid. Why not? The Emperor of Canada, Chris Mitchell. Is he live? No, that's not Chris. Well, it might be. Is that you? Oh, let's go to my sub. There you are. Oh, for 8 o'clock tonight. Okay. Oh, well, we have a few more hours to go. Well, another hour to go. So anyway, let me put the link in the thingy. Save link, copy link address. All right, we'll put that in the chat. Chris Mitchell, I will probably swing by and say hi. Thank you guys for coming by. Good Mother, Evil Hermit, everyone. Have a good evening. Happy Independence Day. Well, it wasn't quite 17. I swear, though, it was the other day. I looked at Good Mother's channel. What is she up to? It's like there's like a 10-hour stream. It's like, my goodness. You must drink a lot of coffee or tea. All right, you guys. Have a good night. And the link to Jeff's video is in the description. See ya.